afternoon, and I'm sure that this is also going to be a very lively discussion. So I welcome you and thank you for INBA to invite me, and I will be moderating and taking you through this session. However, I'm willing that you all join. A few words about myself. I am a born Indian, and I always call myself to be a German of Indian origin. So I'm living in Germany now 21 years, and I work and live between India and the European Union and India since last 5 years. And the European Union is very important because in the last European Union election, I was also one of the candidates in the state of Hessen. So I'm very happy to have a very important panelist over here. And this session I will be moderating together with Mr. Axel, who is an international legal practitioner, also in European Union, in the US, and definitely also in India nowadays. And he believes in Europe. He believes in a good cooperation between Europe and India. So, Axel, thank you for being with us, and thanks for motivating me since last year to be always a part of this conference. And together we have 3 other entrepreneurs who are now on the verge of working with different European Union member countries, and they will share with you also their experience. So let me take you through to the European Union. What is European Union and why is it important and why are we talking about it? So it is actually an economic and political partnership between 28 countries in Europe. In Europe, there are definitely more than 28 countries. However, this is a sort of unity. And as most of us, we know that it was created after the Second World War. And the main interest at that point of time was to foster economic cooperation among the European Union countries so that there is a interdependency and people the countries will definitely then focus more on economic cooperation and avoid having conflict with each other. So then after that, in 1958, the European Economic Community was framed, and the countries at that time who participated were Belgium, Germany, France, Italy, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And after this phase, I mean, I'm really trying to speed up my presentation. European Union within 5 minutes is very difficult. 1993, this was the conversion from, the economic unity to the political framework that we're having today, which was then the European Union was then formed, and the intention behind this to give more mobility, more growth, more stability, and a single currency for better economy within the European Union region. So the motto is unity in diversity, which is very much, I think, common in India, because we also have now 29 states, right? And we are always trying to have this unity in diversity. So about the European Union and India, before I start, I just would like to give it up to my co-moderator, Mr. Axel, just to explain us a little bit about the reality, how the European Union is functioning today, and why we need this European Union, and why European Union and India should work together.
Yes. Thank you, Srita. I will try to do that in a nutshell. Hear me now? I try to do that in a nutshell. We need the European Union because otherwise the respective member states would have no weight in this world. So the European Union, we are talking about 500 plus million people. So outside of India and China, that's the largest population that is somehow organized. Somehow organized means it is, of course, not a truly political union, but it is one that is working well together more than meets the eye. For example, you have the freedom of movement. Therefore, any citizen from any of the member states can go and live and work, freedom movement of labor also, in any of the other member states. I think that is a very important achievement. You also have a specific legal structure, And where European law, and there's a lot of it in many areas, where European law conflicts, or I should perhaps put it the other way around, where national law conflicts with European law prevails, so-called principle of supremacy of European law. It is therefore the European Union is not a political union, which is part of the problem we're having with the euro. You have a common currency. Not all of the countries, or not all of the member states are in the euro, but most of them, with the famous exception of the United Kingdom, of course. So in my view, it would work better if we would have also some sort of a more advanced political union. So it makes, nevertheless, for a very attractive partner for India. And therefore, we're all hoping that the new initiative by Prime Minister Modi to reopen the negotiations and discussions of the EU-India Free Trade Agreement will be successful. I mean, we are living in a time where multi-party free trade agreements are being negotiated, even concluded, so we shouldn't come too late. Maybe I'll stop here, so...
Okay, we can continue later. So, just because... Oh, my God. Just to give you an idea of what has been done between European Union and India so far. So it's the relationship is existing since 1960. So there has been a joint agreement in 1993 and 1994. And the European Union-India trade grew from almost 30 billion in 2003 to 73 billion almost in 2014. So there are a lot of things happening between European Union and India. The investment stock, the EU investment stock in India is approximately 35 billion. And as Axel said, that the free trade agreement dialogue between European Union and India started in 2006, and it is still an ongoing process. And discussions has been taken over now again. And we hope that we will have some agreements and mutual agreements in the near future, because I give you only one simple explanation on that. Today, if an Indian company developing their subsidiary or different type of cooperation or partnership in with any of the European Union member countries, then they have to adhere to 80% of the rules and regulations of the EU and 20% of the national rules and regulations. So you have to know the rules and regulations about the European Union and what is binding actually. So before I just go into further discussions, I would like to ask the entrepreneurs who are here on the panel today to share their experience from different perspectives. I just would like to introduce you to Dr. Alka Kaul, who is an entrepreneur. And the doctor is actually because she studied medicine, and she then decided to take over the chairmanship and directorship of her own family-owned company, which is now into the third generation. So a doctor doing some engineering work and exporting to European Union countries, and she is the chairwoman of the CII Delhi state. So Dr. Kaul, it will be very nice now to, in this phase of Make in India, the venture between European Union and India is going to increase, and it is expected that it's going to increase. So how should we prepare for this particular phase, and what has been your experience, if you can just share with us?
Good evening, everybody. I actually thought we were standing between the dinner and, but then I realized we are not the ones, so we're safe. Yes, thank you so much for the introduction. Yes, we have been working, my company has been there since 1961. My grandfather and father started it. And I was telling Ms. Srita that we started our exports, the first country that we started was Germany. And I remember my father was being told that why have you started with Germany? Because they're the tough taskmasters. it's easier to export somewhere else, you know. They're not so critical about the specification and the dimensions. And I remember my father telling him that it's better to learn from the tough in the industry, because then you know how to grow and you will always do better. And those were the times when Ambassador used to be there, Fiat used to be there, and you know, after that came Maruti and then Honda. We are into automotive sector. So the life was much easier thereafter. Of course, it's been tough. When you say that, you know, the exports are going to increase, yes, they were. You know, I think there are many similarities, like you said and you showed, that we have the same number of, nearly the same number of states. But there needs to be an understanding, because when we started exporting to Germany, we realized, and then we went and exported to Italy. Between the Germany and the Italy, there were different things happening. Germans were very strict on specification, Italians were not so strict on specifications. And then we thought that Italians were more like Indians in those days. So I think we found that initially when we started, there was a lot of trust factor, because you know, the kind of perception India had in those days, that you know, we don't look into the quality, but we are the low cost, cheap labor country where you can get your work done. Since then, I see that things have improved. Now when I talk to the European buyers, be Germany, because we were mainly exporting to Germany, Italy, Romania, and a couple of other countries, Sweden. So the mindset has changed. Now I don't have to prove my abilities there, which is a good thing, because when I speak, they know that I'm going to give them a quality, and I'm talking, you know, just the right thing that is required as per the specs. So that trust factor there has come. What still I find difficult for them to trust us on is our deliverables. They always feel that we are not in time. When we say no problem, that invariably lands into a problem. But I do still feel that way. But yes, we are improving there. And what we need to, as an Indian company, first let me say, when we are going to be exporting or we are going to be working with the European, I've come to a conclusion that we need to be very transparent and upfront. We need to tell them blue is blue and black is black. Sometimes Indians find it very difficult actually to say no, and find it very difficult to actually say, oh, you know, this is not like this. But I think it's better with these guys to be very upfront and tell them what you can do or what you think is right and what you think is not right. Of course, keeping our culture in mind. So that needs to be done. What I think would be good for the EU people to understand is that India has changed in many ways. Of course, the government has changed, and you can see the government working. But change government or no change government, the industrialists, the entrepreneurs have changed also. They've come a long way. Now they're very globally, technically sound people. So they need to open up little more and trust that they will supply you whatever is good, you know. Because even, I don't know if it's good for this dais to be said or not, even we have had bad experiences with EU. Working with companies, you know, a couple of companies where we have supplied the right product in, you know, the right containers, and the product has just vanished and we've not been paid. So, you know, that can happen both ways. So it's just that we need to come on the same page. Things have changed, and we are here to do business, of course, and maybe because we need to learn how to say no. And they need to learn how to be little more diplomatic, not always at your face, because sometimes we don't understand that. But otherwise, yes, and I'm hoping, because I think EU together can form a very good platform, because that gives a level playing field. I mean, if honestly, if I was to supply to Romania, if it was not in EU, I won't have supplied, because the country as such, the economy, I will not supply. But because it's a part of EU, and I know the rules and regulations will be applicable to that country as per the EU standards, So I'm comfortable supplying to them. So that way the smaller countries gives us a trust factor to be able to work with them closely. So I think for the time, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Dr. Kaul. That was a very good insight. Now I would like to move to a young leader who is Mr. Abhinav Gupta from Ambica Steels. It is very important also to know a company like yours, Mr. Gupta, who is exporting to European Union countries since many years and further exploring new markets in this particular region. So how do you prepare your agenda?
Can you clarify the question a little bit more? Prepare. Can you
so
clarify?
I just say that you have been working since many years with many European Union countries, and now you are exploring also further opportunities in the region. And earlier we said that working with European Union partner member countries, it means that, you know, we have to know the European Union, we have to know the national rules and regulations. So how do you prepare your agenda, your thought of developing business relationship in the European Union countries today?
Okay, I'll just give a little background about what we do at our company. So we are a stainless steel manufacturer. It's on. We are a stainless steel manufacturer, and we are situated in New Delhi. Company was established in 1970. And again, it's a family business. We are still I'm basically representing the second generation. And we've been exporting to over 50 countries. And the EU, again, like Dr. Kaul also said, for us also, Germany and Italy have been the major countries that have bought our material. And we've had very similar experiences to what she has shared, and I'm really happy that she's shared them as well. Generally, when we prepare for business with the European Union, we always have a contract with them for every sale. The arbitration clause is defined, the technical parameters is defined, and everything happens on paper, and that is something that I feel that keeps things very transparent, and that is something that is quite unique to the EU, that when we do business one-on-one, it's always, everything is on ink, and that really helps out. So that has been the experience that has also taught us a lot while we're dealing with a lot of Indian customers, where you know, we are supplying a technical product. Stainless steel is a highly technical product also. You know, there's so many specifications that we have to meet. And sometimes we feel that is missing in the Indian work environment. So working with the European Union, the experience is quite similar overall. Obviously, it changes a little bit. A lot of times preparing for business with the EU starts from where we have to actually apply for a visa. And recently I had done an exhibition in Maastricht where we exhibited, and I was stopped at the border control. They said that you've got a visa from the Swiss embassy, but you are coming into Belgium, and you're traveling to Netherlands. So I was looked down upon as if, you know, why are you here? Go to Switzerland, come through them. So that is something I would say, I would like to kind of bring to notice, that, you know, there should be a separate way for us, companies that have been regularly exporting with the track record, where, you know, maybe the visa facilitation can happen, and there needs to be a separate way for us to, you know, not stand in line for, you know, maybe half an hour as soon as you land. So that is something I guess we really need to be prepared for. And yeah, I feel the EU is still there, but the Schengen visa, it still feels very different, like very different countries sometimes.
Thank you very much. It's a pity that it happened, but usually because for the Schengen, and Switzerland belongs to this also, so there should not be any problem while crossing borders, even if you have a visa from the Swiss embassy. I think this is at present a special problem in Europe due to the refugee system, so the border control has been reintroduced in many countries, and I think that is a special issue. Okay.
I'll just like to shortly add to that. A lot of times, just another specific problem that just comes up is, I've seen that the visa is very strict also. Like, they will give you, let's say you're attending the exhibition, the visa will be from the 16th till the 20th, within that time frame. So it sometimes can get very restricted.
Yeah.
But again, that's something that is changing though. over a period of time it has changed.
Well, I think that we again are meeting the famous red tape. The Indian government does the same thing. So someone has to become wise and say, okay, I'll be more generous and therefore more practical, and which is in the interest of my own people.
Yeah, that's why I bring up the topic that maybe for companies that are regularly doing business with the EU, there has to be some way of classifying them.
Yeah.
You know, so that red tape does
Bilateral
not,
agreements.
yeah, that red tape is not there all the time.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Now I move into a joint venture, Indo-German joint venture project, which was led and successfully also completed by Mr. Ashish Gupta from Yes Pharmaceuticals. So, Mr. Dasgupta, it will be very nice if you can explain what your company is doing and what has been your experience, you know, going in through a joint venture process.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Thank you, Srita. I know I'm watching her on the side, my side view. She just says 2 minutes for the last 5 minutes. So, good evening almost to everyone. And Yes is not a part of the Yes Bank. It's supposed to be your external support. So we in the pharma sector, we do a lot of pharmaceutical regulatory work for pharmaceutical companies worldwide, and also we do map safety of products which go into the market. So it's called pharmacovigilance. So that's the part of service work that we do with pharma companies worldwide. Well, this joint venture, as Srita said, was a successful one. We made this joint venture with my own consulting company in 2013 May with a German company called Yes Pharma Development in Friedrichsdorf, which is 30 kilometers away from Frankfurt. Three things which comes to my mind which happened. And to me, I am not a lawyer. I'm a pharmaceutical scientist, so I had no inkling what I was getting into, okay, except that a strong vision that becoming an entrepreneur at this age and perhaps getting into a new joint venture which is exciting, okay. And well, once we got into it, then we knew what were the hurdles and what were the lessons learned. So if I were to recollect few lessons learned which I can share with our experiences. One, to have a very good legal support, which we did, which was a very successful one, which this legal support in Delhi, they helped us to create the joint venture agreement with the entry clause, exit clauses, and all kinds of different clauses, and making sure that both the partners are aligned from a personal stakeholders to a larger ambition to grow the company. So that joint venture agreement was very interesting, almost 4 to 6 hours of brainstorming between the two partners, me and my German counterpart, with the legal people, and putting that framework together. Two is, which we again learned, the most hardest way was banking and regulations in India. When we got the foreign FDI coming in, we were not educated enough, or we were not told correctly by authorized bankers in India how the FDI has to come in, what is the clause that you need to put into the FRIC statements, and within 30 days the FDI coming in to RBI, there is a 30-day stipulation, and what happens is we got 2 tranches of the FDI coming in. One was in the name of my joint venture partner, not in the name of Yes. So that was one mistake, which we were not aware. Okay, and though it's a part of the joint venture agreement, legally everything is right. 2 is whatever money we got, the first tranche, we capitalized it in putting up the office and the infrastructure. That is also not allowed, because in India, what happens is many of these government documents and policies, they do not talk to each other. And that's what we learned during this exercise. And so what happened was, which was a direct route which did not require any permission, we had to land up into RBI giving us the directions that you need to now report to this, to FIPB. So we had to go through the FIPB route, putting in our files again, structuring our files, seeking approval from FIPB, and then RBI coming in, closing it, because we went into RBI as a suo motu. That means we have to surrender to RBI that, look, these are the non-compliances that has happened through this, and let us know how do we fulfill the clause. But let me tell you, we were very pleasantly surprised the way RBI acted. They completely helped us out, they heard us, they called us, they were chasing us that we need to close your file. We have a mandate from the government to close all these pending files. This is in the era of the new government, okay? So they were not holding our files, and they said, they told us at the end that if you were to bring in any more FDI, please do come and consult us. We will tell you how to do it. We are very sorry that you had a problem from the bankers in India on reporting this, but henceforth if you come and talk to us, we'll give you the right advice. So that was a very, very pleasant surprise to us. And finally, they gave us such a beautiful hearing. They heard us. Penalty is 300 times the FDI or imprisonment, okay, under the FERA law. They finally find us a very nominal sum, and I'm very grateful to RBI. The way they helped us to do this, it was a very, very pleasant experience for us. The third and the most important, another important part was India and Germany, they have, different cultures, different style of working, okay. Purely highly scientific, highly technical skill sets. So Srita, we called in Srita, she was actually called in from a German headquarters in Friedrichsdorf to do a cultural training on how Indians work, okay. So I don't have the part of the presentation what she told them about us, and we also did the reverse thing in India, how do Germans work, okay. And most of the things has already been shared by Dr. Alka in being transparent. Believe me, they're so transparent, Germans. They will show even your profit and loss to all their employees, which in India we will hold it, secretly we will not share with all the people. But they're very transparent, and at the same time it must be recognized the employees also give a lot of credibility to this confidential information over there. So we learned a lot of those things, and an eye for quality, of course. So Srita's contribution also helped us to understand what that culture was, what that work culture was, and probably they also understood us better. Today, as I sit over here, my two auditors from German company are already there and auditing us. So we have a lot of intercompany travel and sharing work experiences and training. They also come to India. We also go to Germany several times. My team keeps on traveling across. So it's been a very nice experience for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Time is short, as we know, and European Union and India is a long history and has an interesting present as well as a very interesting future. So we cannot complete everything within 30 minutes. But for European Union, India is definitely a very trustworthy partner, and the relationship is growing stronger. And as Axel had said, that also the new government has taken up the initiative to close down the free trade agreement now. So thank you very much for being with us. And if you have any questions, maybe we take one question.
Can we do it offline?
Okay. There is only one question. We take only one question and then we do the rest offline.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, George, I'm Per Oberg from Sweden. Also, we're developing business between Europe and India. And he asked, say, what is the hurdle here? And I'm asking how to handle it. I have seen that Scandinavian companies coming to India, it takes average, if they don't have help from anyone who really knows it, only local Indians without experience, then it takes
something like 2 years before they say, aha, I can't do it the Swedish way or Danish way. I have to think differently. I have to accept a different way of doing the business. So it's a long learning curve. But also the other way is a learning curve going from India to to Sweden, for instance. I talked to a Swedish managing director who was in a company who was bought by an Indian company. So there was a daughter company to Indian company. And they had a problem that people was holding back the information. So that when they wanted to know where the shipment was coming from India, they couldn't call the head office in Mumbai because they wouldn't tell them. They had to call a shipping agent in Mumbai to know if a shipment was coming or not. So this is the question: how can we make the Indians more, approach and see that there's a learning curve and how to learn about the other side as well?
Thank you very much, and thank you for being with us, and wish you a nice further evening. And if you have questions, we are always here. Please come to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Srita. May I request Mr. Manan Singh to felicitate the panel? Dr. Alka Kaul. Mr. Abhinav Gupta. I can't hear the applause. Mr. Ashish Dasgupta. The co-moderator, Mr. Axel. And thank you so much, Srita Heide. Ladies and gentlemen,